Today I'm starting on part 6, and before I forget, as soon as I opened the document, I already had an idea for how to start. Something about Rick didn't try to hide his tension on the trip back to the farm. I think that might be good because then there's a contrast between when they left the farm, he was trying to hide how worried he was. Maybe worry, maybe something similar to that. I mean, he's more than worried, right? He's panic. Panic might be even better. Trying to hide his panic. It's interesting. I'm streaming this, and I was trying to put the title for this stream, and the title was going to be "Going Back to the Farm," and the story's climax. And Twitch won't allow me to use the word climax. It says that it conflicts with its moderation policy. So it views the word climax as, some kind of sexual word when it's a multi-purpose word, especially one for stories. So I had to write peak, the story's peak, which is very lame. I cannot believe that. Unbelievable. Okay. Anyways, Rick didn't try to hide his tension on the trip back to the farm. I'm thinking Faye didn't understand and he didn't have the peace of mind to explain it all to her. She only seemed capable of viewing the plant. I don't think we need to call it a seed anymore. It's already grown. With love. She'd given it a name. Like, he can't believe that. Well, didn't I put some kind of exclamation? I was thinking about it. But I don't know where that was. I feel like it was part 4. When it rains? Was that what I settled on for the exclamation? Or maybe I just didn't use one. Okay. Scrolling text. Sorry. Okay. This is where we are. I mean, he could use that. He could say, when it rains, she'd given it a name. I'm going to keep that there because that way I'll at least remember that I was considering using that as a kind of exclamation, and I could put it other places. And I could actually just use that sort of idea throughout. I could have different exclamations that have to do with rain. When it rains, it pours. Right as rain. Raining cats and dogs. They could just say cats and dogs. That could be a good simple simile to use once or twice when they're speaking. All those things. Is there anything else that I'm not thinking of? Rain expressions. Come rain or shine. Steal someone's thunder. That could be a good one. I'm not going to use rain check. Right as rain. So there's a couple. I think those would all work. Those might be fun to put throughout. Because the idea was that they're farmers, they live on a farm, rain is very important. Without rain, they're going to suffer. Okay, so Rick didn't try to hide his tension. Faye didn't understand, and he didn't have the peace of mind to explain it all. I'm not sure if peace of mind is exactly what I want to say, but it's pretty close. She only seemed capable of when it rains. She'd given it a name. Faye, gripped him tight around the middle. Or no, she would be in front of him, right? Faye bounced. That's not quite right. Bouncing feels so violent. Not jostled. I say too much. I gotta stop doing that. Faye, I'll say bounced for now. Both hands on the pommel. Pommel's a sword. The horn, saddle horn. Yeah, exactly. She would be holding on to that part, the saddle horn. She didn't have much experience riding persimmon, but like her sister, she was a natural. Still, Rick kept both arms. Both of Rick's arms encircled her protectively as he, whipped the reins. Urging Persimmon to I don't know if I ever said whether Persimmon was a boy or a girl. To a dangerous speed. She, maybe he'd worried about her. He'd worried about pushing her too much, but she... I don't know. I don't necessarily want to say she. I'm worried about confusion between, who is she? I'm worried about using too many pronouns. He'd worried about pushing her too much, but she... I'm trying to say she relished the chance to sort of let loose. I think that's good. She gets to let loose. He'd worried about pushing her, but she relished the chance to let loose. You know, Rig couldn't remember the last time any of them had ridden her instead of simply hitching her to the cart. Okay. Now, when I go back and do the rewrite, I need to really pay attention to the fact that every single sentence is starting with a person doing an action. And maybe I'm just overly sensitive to that, but I think that readers will pick up on that in some way. So I'm going to have to look for a little bit of sentence variety. But for now, in the rough draft, it's not a big deal. It's better to just get the ideas down and not overthink things too much. All right, so if we're goal of sensory details, we have Faye bouncing. We have Rick internalizing some thoughts. We're in his head. We could talk more about the feeling of riding the horse, but I don't know. I've only ridden a horse maybe twice in my life, so I'm not going to be very good at describing that. I just remember the smell. There's a very strong smell of horse. So I'm not too worried right here about the sensory details. I think I'm worried about the setting. Let's look at my notes real quick. I said tension because the vines are growing, but in very whimsical way. Imagining the whole house concealed, his family members trapped in pledge. Nearing the farm, seeing vines at the level of hearing screams. Here's Almia. Okay, so this is what I want to do. They're on the horse. Faye's in front of him. He's there. Maybe he'd worried about pushing her too much, but she relished the chance to let loose. And trees past, not just trees, and the road became a blur. I don't want to say blur. It became, I want something really creative here, something really nice. It became it's going fast. Became something like a speeding arrow pointed at the farm. Something like that. Pointing, I guess. A speeding arrow pointing at the farm. I mean, you could think of it in the sense of a symbol, an arrow pointing to your destination. We could also think of it as an arrow that's been shot from a bow. That's not quite right. That's not exactly what I want. That's something that I can work on in one of my workshops. I'm thinking more along the lines of a a narrow band, a twisting noodle, a twisting something, a twisting, turning, just course without end. This feeling of helplessness that even though they're going so fast and it's speeding along beneath them, he just feels like they're never going to get there. Yeah. Okay, but let's get to the farm. I don't want to spend a lot of time. I really want to start this. I really want this part to start with what's happening on the farm. Where was it? It was nearing the farm, seeing vines at the level of the roof. When they neared the farm, I don't. Why do I always want my characters to squint? Rick, Rick saw his worst fears I don't want to say brought to life. Grown beyond his wildest imaginings. I wanted to use the word grown because it's a plant. It literally has grown. We'll say thick vines wrapped around the house like and had even reached the roof. We'll keep that part simple. The tall rows of corn blocked most of his view. Filled most of his view. Probably move that. When he rounded the corner, would he find his family trapped in fly traps? I don't know what those are actually called. I think fly traps works. Trapped in fly traps. Silent from having screamed themselves hoarse. That I don't want to get too dark. I think it's better if I think it's better if he's imagining them trapped, wrapped in vines, or maybe retreating, trapped in the root cellar. And he's, again, his whole character is that he's pragmatic, he's economical, so immediately starts thinking about what tools he could use to free them. If Rick could reach the axe against the barn wall, he could cut them free. Might even be able to grab some weed rot. Nearly to the track that would lead him to the house. That's kind of wordy, but nearly to the track that would lead him to the house. Rick almost... Yeah, it's not going to fit. I was going to say Rick almost fell from the saddle. There should be some action. Rick... I don't want to say heard a scream. That's so weak. There's a better way to say that. Rick... What would his reaction be when he hears the scream? Rick... I mean, maybe he would almost fall. I'm thinking, would he jump? Would he jump out of the saddle? And run, not wanting to be on his own feet, wanting to be under his own power and not reliant on the horse? Because I mean, he's coming quick on the horse. He's gonna have to, and then he's gonna have to turn this corner. Nearly to the... Rick leapt from the saddle, vaguely conscious of tossing the reins to Faye. When he... Rick leapt from the saddle when he heard a scream. Mary. He was vaguely conscious of tossing the reins to Faye. The pacing's not right. Can you feel it? Nearly to the track that would lead him to the house, Rick leapt from the saddle when he heard a scream. It sounds like he's leaping from the saddle and then he's hearing the scream. When Rick heard a scream, he leapt from the saddle. He was nearly to the track that would lead him to the house. He was nearly to the track between fields. But he cut through the corn, shoving it aside, none too gently. I'm saying again. Shoving it aside, none too gently. Riding Persimmon would have been faster, but he needed to trust his own power. Okay, that's a better place to put that general idea of him trusting his own power. He needed to trust his own power, needed an outlet for all his fears, or all his worst fears. I'm thinking about his strides. Each stride ate 2 rows. And as he flew through the corn with a speed and grace granted by years of familiarity. I don't know. I have this general idea of familiarity, that he knows the fields so well. He's out there every single day, so nothing is going to surprise him out there. There's not going to be any tools left laying around. He knows the land. He knows the way that it feels beneath his feet. Since he's flying through like one of the crows that I'll keep it just like one of the crows. What was my next thought? I'm losing it because I'm being too slow. And grace granted by years of it, like one of the crows. Oh God, what was it? No. The feet. Out of. At his periphery, he caught occasional glances of fly traps, all roughly the same size as the one he'd seen that morning. Okay. Okay, so I've changed that. The pacing, the order feels better now. When Rick heard a scream, he leapt from the saddle. He was nearly to the track between fields, but he cut through the corn, shoving it aside none too gently. Riding Persimmon would have been faster, but he needed to trust his own power, needed an outlet for all his worst fears. I think this is good. I think this really helps build towards that climax. He's thrashing through the corn. That's not a bad idea. Thrashing at the end. Breaking free. Okay, so we got another screen. We got Elm shouting. He can't make out the words. Brainstorming is great. Being organized. I brainstormed that, so I know exactly where I'm headed. And then I just have to let the character take himself there. Rick will get himself there. I know who he is this far into the story. That's a really big thing. I was just watching. Well, not just. I've been watching a lot of interviews with Bill Hader, where he talks about Barry, and people ask about the decisions and how dark it gets at times, and he was saying exactly that. That once you have that character, all the characters, they sort of take on their own life, and you can't force them into certain situations because it doesn't feel right. And I think that's 100% true. You have to really develop your character and then let your character make the decisions. Let the character lead the story forward. It doesn't matter how you want the story to go. I mean, I have a very clear idea of how I want stories to go usually. I have a general idea of how even a full-length novel is going to end. Because I need to know. I need to know, where's this story going. I can't just write with no end, no goal in mind. But it will often change because of the characters. You think, well, I want this character to die because of the emotional impact, but you get to the moment and you think, well, no, but this character wouldn't die. They wouldn't die here. They're too cowardly. They wouldn't even put themselves in that situation, or they would another character would sacrifice him or herself. So let your characters breathe on the page. I mean, really, if you can't feel that, if you can't feel your characters coming alive and driving things on their own, you have to. I don't know how to help you with that. I think the important thing is giving them as much personality as you can. So when I first started writing the first big epic fantasy novel I wrote, I had a character sheet, kind of similar to something you would use if you were playing Dungeons and Dragons. It had their name. It had a general idea of where they were from, maybe how old they were. It had their strengths, their weaknesses, their wants. And I just sat there and I tried to brainstorm for all these different characters. And some characters I had a lot, some characters I didn't have a lot. And then I had those up on the wall so I could just sit there and look at them while I was writing. So I could really think about it. And I don't have to do that now. It's all just in my head. But doing that in the beginning, that really helped. Actually sitting there and brainstorming it all. And then letting the characters come alive. I mean, that's a constant complaint. I mean, that is something that people are going to complain about. If you do not have strong characters, if they do not feel alive, then people aren't going to enjoy your story as much. I see that complaint about video games a lot, computer games. Flat characters, stale characters. People just don't care about the characters. It takes something away. All right, enough rambling. Elm shouted something, and though she sounded close, he couldn't make out her words over the crash and rustle of cornstalks as he barreled through. Well, but then Elm shouted, couldn't make out. Uh, thrashing his way free of the final row. He shielded his eyes against the bright midday sun and took a single moment to survey the scene. I am using a lot of S's. I'm not doing it on purpose. Look at all these S's. Glances, traps, same size as, seen, sight, except, scream, pierced, slicing, his, shouted something, house, she, sounded, close. I mean, it's unintentional alliteration, kind of. I don't know why I'm doing that. He shielded his eyes against the bright midday sun. He took a single moment to survey the scene. It's just stuck in my head for some reason. I'm just... Lots of S's. Thrashing his way free of the final row, he shielded his eyes against the bright midday sun and took a single moment to survey the scene. I mean, that's something I think is fun if you really want to do it. Alliteration, choosing specific words throughout a section of your story. For example, if it's a battle and you want to not only describe the battle, but you want to let the reader feel it a little bit more, you could use short, powerful words that have a clang sound. That would be difficult, but you could do that. It would just be another layer of immersion into that story. And that's the point. I think that would be very fun. Here, I think it works if I keep all these S's. It kind of imitates the sound of the corn being pushed aside. I was once reading I was helping a guy with a story, and he had all these really interesting sounds throughout. And I don't remember the point of the story, but I was suggesting to him that he could really play with those sounds and build them up, and just really focus on the sounds in that story. And that's something that I would really like to do at some point. I don't necessarily want to have a blind character, but a character who is sensitive to sounds and hears, and you could add kind of a musical quality to the language because of that. Different sounds take on this different quality. Some are calm and soothing, and some are sound, just there's a dangerous sound to them. There's a discordant sound. That would be kind of fun. I might do something like that in my... I have an assassin character in a novel, and I feel like she would pick up on things like that. She has heightened senses. He shielded his eyes against Brightman and took a single moment to survey the scene. Before going for his axe. I think that's important. He's only going to take a moment to survey the scene, and then he's going to get the axe. We need to remember, he's going for that axe. A single moment. I want repetition here. I think it's important. A single moment that might destroy him. And I'm actually going to break the rule of 3, and I'm going to do 4. A single moment before going on. A single moment to. It needs to build. A single moment to survey the scene. A single moment to gauge the danger and damage. Maybe just danger, threat. A single moment that might destroy him. A single moment that broke apart like a stubborn rain cloud. Drenching. I like the word drenching. Drenching him in relief. Something like that. But that's not right. That's not right. But you see what I'm saying? There's generally a rule of 3. Comedians follow a rule of 3. They'll do 3 examples. They'll hit something 3 times. They'll do 3 callback. 3. It's just a magic number for some reason. Writers too. If you're going to give a series of things, generally you want 3. That's what we learn when we're kids. I like hamburgers, pizza, and hot dogs. You generally don't want to say 20 things in your list. So the rule of 3, against the bright midday sun, and took a single moment to survey the sea, a single moment to gauge the threat, a single moment that might destroy him, a single moment. Do you see? The first 3 sound good. And then that 4th one sounds like too much. But the reason I'm breaking the rule is because that final one is the different one. So I want it to be wrong. I want it to feel different. I want it to feel out of place. A single moment that broke apart like a stubborn. Yeah, okay. And I don't want to explain the simile. I don't want you to understand what that means. Well, what does that mean? And that may not be the best one. That's just what pops into my head. I think of a rain cloud holding in all its rain. It's not letting it go. But there's probably something better. Something tense. A spring. Something from the farm that's been wound too tight and it just bursts apart. It could be a fruit. I was just talking about tomatoes. It could be some kind of fruit or vegetable. Grown too plump, too large. Until it, burst. I don't know what it is. I think it's, the things will just grow. They'll just grow too big and then they'll burst apart. And I don't know if that's intended. Is that something that fruits and vegetables should do? It makes them more appealing to animals. It allows their seeds to come out. Or if that's just they get too big and then it's too hot and they burst. Something I could look up. Just to sate my curiosity. A single moment that broke apart like a stubborn ring, a fruit, vegetable grown too plump, too large, until it burst. Okay, so I had him, threshing, breaking free. Single moment of a stubborn rain cloud. Man, I mean, I've already got a page and a half. And I mean, that's good. That's good. So, a page and a half of that really rising tension. We need to feel that tension. And then the reason I like this is where the tension dissipates. And I'm also going to have this simile about something that is tense, popping, breaking, bursting. So I have the simile at the same time in the story that it's literally the tension is easing finally. And if you know me, I like things like that. I like the layers. Okay. Elm stood on the porch, head angled upward, hands following her gaze. Rick watched. That doesn't work. It needs to be quick, immediate. Rick followed her gaze. Mary fell through the air. Hung in the air. Elm wasn't far. Could probably catch her. So why wasn't she moving? Not believing for one moment that he could reach her in time, Rick pounced, sprang toward the house. But he stopped dead in his tracks. Skidding across a patch of dirt, sending up plumes of dust? No, clouds of dust. What's a plume? Clouds of dust. And maybe he almost falls. I don't think so. I don't know why I want him to fall so badly. Sorry, Rick. I don't really want you to fall, man. Rick's pranked hard the other buddy, still skidding across a patch of dirt, sending out clouds of dust. Sensory details. I'm trying to think of those. So he stopped at it, skidding across a patch of dirt, sending up clouds of dust. Mouth gape. In a flurry of movement, vines wove together into a net and caught Mary. And then at some point, I think Faye has caught up. Me too. That just constantly oblivious to any sort of danger, completely unaware of what her father is thinking or feeling. I'm extremely happy with that. The tension is rising, and there is danger. Mary is falling, but we immediately get a shift. Oh, the vines catch her. I mean, we could push it a little bit further, and the vines, a vine is. We could show a vine racing beneath her, and it could look like one of the fly traps, and so he's thinking, "Oh my God, it's gonna eat her," but it's actually catching her. I mean, we could push it further, but I don't think that's necessary. I think we want to get the tension, and then okay, let it go. Let's release that tension. Do I need to say vines wove together? Vines wove themselves into a net and caught Mary. Vines thick as thumbs, thick as rope, thick as thumbs, thick as something. Thick as rope. That's too close. That's right on the nose. Oh yeah, the vines are taking the place of rope. All right, I'm gonna have to stop because otherwise this recording is gonna get too long. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. There's a lot more for you to see, and I'm always going to be making new things. I'm always trying to come up with new ideas. So if you haven't checked it out, I have little bits videos. I have videos connected to the novel I wrote called My Costumes. I have some workshop videos. There's going to be book videos, not necessarily a review, but just trying to introduce you to books. So look for those. If you have any ideas, things that you want to see, please tell me. I would love to have input from you, the viewer. So let me know. And really, thanks for watching. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Thank you.